right, sir. Just a second, sir. As the feed comes, we will inform, sir. Yes, we are live now. We will inform, sir. Sir, we are live now.
Hello. Good morning. Welcome to all of you who are online. This is our live session for field sales, management of field sales. And please do post your questions. We do have some questions in advance, which we will handle. The first question I will like to take up is from Dr. K.S. Chandrasekhar, a faculty colleague. And he has raised a very pertinent question, and that is that due to COVID-19, the pandemic that is going around the world and possibly will be with us for the foreseeable future, even though the vaccination has started, but the vaccination doesn't mean that you will not get infected. And it will take some time for all the people around the world to be vaccinated, to be immune. Therefore, this question is a very interesting and pertinent question, that how the management of field sales as the discipline will be affected by COVID-19. And more particularly, he has asked that whether territory restructuring will be required. So my response to you, first of all, is that already a lot of the field sales function, which used to be face-to-face, I think will continue to be face-to-face. There will be a blending of online interactions, virtual interactions, but also online meetings, online face-to-face meetings, face-to-face interactions will be blended with electronic communication or store and forward communication like email or WhatsApp and so on. And as a result, because of this increasing spread and increasing sophistication and increasing technological advancement in the electronic face-to-face interaction, my first reaction is that territories will get redefined. Perhaps people will now be able to cover, the sales people will be able to cover larger territories because the physical limitation of traveling and the physical limitation of traffic or keeping appointments or being there, these will change. We will use more and more sophisticated face-to-face meetings on the web, like the one which we are having right now for this interaction. And there will be these applications for face-to-face meeting on the web will become more and more powerful. They are already rapidly developing. You are already able to do it even from a phone quite efficiently. So I think these will enable salespeople to cover wider territories. It will enable them to keep number of appointments on the same day because the time taken to travel will be eliminated. And so territories will get redefined. I have a feeling that more and more we will see metrics sort of territory allocations. That means territories will be allocated by industry specialization, by product specialization, as well as by geographical allocation. We always knew that there are a lot of advantages in industry wise or product wise specialization among the sales force. But some of the difficulties there were that the same client would actually handle number of salespeople coming from the same organization, each salesperson having an industry specialization or a product specialization. And that was a little bothersome for the client. But we will now see more and more composite interactions. That means somebody may be sitting in Mumbai, who is a specialist in of cement industry, and at the same time the geographical territory manager will be able to participate in the same meeting quite efficiently. And similarly, there will be product specialists who can also attend the same meeting. And this kind of trilateral, quadrilateral meetings across territories will become quite usual. So I think these are my first reactions. But as technologies evolve and the situation demands newer responses, I think this territory restructuring and field sales function as a whole will see a lot of evolution because of this pandemic impact, because we are going to live with this pandemic for the foreseeable future. And we will have to continue to have precautions. There will be continuing restrictions on travel, and therefore we will see more virtual interactions, but more real-time online interactions and complex interactions or multilateral interactions. Another question has come. This has been raised by somebody who is a medical representative, and but this question may apply to sometimes field sales people engaged in product ranges like FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, or even newer emerging product clusters like fast moving electrical goods, for example, consumer electricals, or even consumer durables. The question that has been raised is that where there is intense competition within the territory, there are a number of sellers. How do you manage the field sales function? This is a short question, but there are a lot of implications. There is no straightforward, short, crisp answer to this. But fundamentally, intensity of competition means that one will have to rely more and more on sales collaterals, which means that your electronic communication your different information sharing activities will have to become more efficient using the new technologies. And so just like a doctor will be squeezed for time, and also the doctor may not be always be able to meet face to face. So these medical representatives who typically wait in front of the doctor's chamber, waiting for his free time to go and interact with him, will now use more and more will now use more and more electronic interactions, electronic collaterals, electronic brochures, yeah, electronic documentation, supplementary information sharing, providing links for knowledge extraction. For example, in case of a doctor and you are promoting a new medicine, so you may like to provide the doctor a link to more research papers and advanced information. And therefore, you will have to use more multi-channel, multi-technology based inputs to make you more efficient to handle the intensity of competition in your territory. Beyond that, your success will depend on your product, because no sales technique will actually supplement any product deficiency. So your product has to be good, your planning has to be good, you have to allocate your time. Time becomes very, very important commodity when you have intensity of competition, because you need to have intensity of follow-up. You have intensity of coverage as typical responses to intensity of competition. So all these will have to be combined when you have a territory which is very competitive. And the fact is that we will see more and more field sales function facing hyper competition, because more competitors from across the world will now walk into your territory. There are no sheltered areas anymore now. And obviously, therefore, almost in every category, we do not have the luxury of monopolistic position or even duopolistic position these days. So there will be intense competition coming from different angles, from different types of competitors even from different countries, accessing remote corners of the country. So we will have to become more efficient with your time, and more efficient with your tools, and more efficient with your knowledge and information sharing function, so that the little time that you get now for face-to-face interaction, because the doctors will also be squeezed for time, all buyers will be squeezed for time. So the little time that you get, you will have to make maximum use of that to handle objections, and also to sort of go beyond data sharing and get more into the realm of knowledge sharing. The other question that we have here about is about the exam format. This, I think, is interesting to many of the students who have raised this point. So we will have objective type of questions. So you will have multiple choice questions. You will have true false type of questions. You will have objective questions based on short situation descriptions. So you may have to do some short calculations also based on the data provided you in the question. You will have to respond typically about 50 questions in the time that you have for the exam. And we have carefully calibrated all the questions, so you will be quite comfortable. And if you have followed the course, if you have referred to the textbooks mentioned in the course, and if you have followed the transcripts well, then you should be comfortable with time. You should have no pressure beyond what is there in every examination. Okay, so another question that has come is with respect to whether this course is useful for undergraduate students. The response is yes, because the field sales function in the real world in many industries will often employ just graduates, and I mean, not necessarily they will be looking for postgraduates. There are many areas where graduates are doing very well. Graduates can rise high up in the hierarchy of field sales. So I think this course is useful for undergraduate students as well. I think that more or less responds to all the questions that I have received so far. Are there any more questions? And just to prepare for the exams, please look at the course syllabus. Look at the structuring of the different topics. As you will see that for some of the topics we might have taken multiple lectures, and some topics might have been covered just in one lecture. But all the topics are interrelated. So this course plan or the course structure, you should understand well, so that you understand that what are the different topics that we have covered in the course, and how they are interrelated to each other, how the course has evolved over the period that we had for the course. These things will be important for you to intelligently prepare for the examination. I think otherwise, the other typical exam related questions, we will respond at the forum. The general questions will be answered there. Somebody has raised a question about some declared lockdown condition in some areas. You will get a direct response from our headquarters at IIT Madras. They will tell you about how, as the situation evolves, that whether there is any lockdown, there is any postponement due to lockdown, or whether there is any revised dates. All these will be communicated to you. Okay, I think, are you seeing any other questions at the back end? Because if there are no more questions, then we can perhaps close this session and wish you all good luck. And more than luck, I will say your result will depend on good preparation, because we are not trying to trick you. One very, very important point is, in objective type questions that you will face, please do read the question carefully. Please do read the question statement carefully, because sometimes the question may be asking you to tick the option which is the most relevant, or sometimes the question may be asking you to tick what is the least relevant or what is not relevant at all. So be clear about the statement, that whether you are you have to give a positive qualification, or you have to identify the most appropriate negative response. So my last suggestion will be that please read the question carefully before you tick. That's very, very important, because you will have comfortable time, and so you don't have to hurry, and so don't make comprehension mistakes. Please read the question carefully. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Good luck.